So a question you might be asking yourself is, if I'm telling myself that I want something, this is what I desire, this is what I want, but I'm not pursuing it. I don't actively do things on a day-to-day basis to get myself there. Then do I actually want that? Or do I not? Do I want something else instead? Do I want something more than what I proclaim that I want? Because remember, there are a lot of unconscious forces internally within me, within you, within everybody that are at odds with each other. And like I mentioned in a previous video, a couple of videos, you want all parts of you together working in the same direction. Because if you don't have that, if you don't do that, then you're always going to be confused and you're going to be sometimes annoyed with yourself, disgusted with yourself, judging yourself because you're not doing what you think you should be doing or that you say that you want. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you actually want? Or more accurately, the part of you that says what you want and the part of you that doesn't do it, are they the same? Probably not. Which one is more real? Which means your statements of desire is is that the real part of you, or is the real part of you the part of you that actually doesn't work towards fulfilling that desire? So the question is finding out why you're not doing what you want or believe that you should or dream that you want to be doing. And number two, what is going on beneath the surface that is leading you towards something else? And what is that something else? And how are each of those parts establishing a specific set of needs that you require? So let's get into it. The first thing is that everybody has needs that they need to fulfill, right? You have needs, I have needs, and all the needs at some fundamental basis, they're all similar. Now, I'm not talking about the 6 human needs that Tony Robbins talks about, but it's similar. So if we actually take those needs and we pull them up, we can actually talk about them right now, right? So 6 human needs, Tony Robbins. So he mentions certainty, so the assurance that you can avoid pain and gain pleasure; uncertainty, the need for the unknown, change, new stimulus; significance, feeling unique, important, special, or needed; connection and love, a strong feeling of closeness or union with somebody or something; and then growth, an expansion of capacity, capability, or understanding. The reason I like his model is because it's very straightforward and we don't have to get caught up in the weeds of a lot of the psychoanalysis, which again is very important. But think about it like this. If you're not doing what you think you should be doing or what you want to do, right? So I want to be a millionaire. I want to have this car. I want to have this life. And you're not doing things in accordance with that goal or with that mission, then whatever you're doing currently is fulfilling one or more of these needs. Probably the most common thing that's happening is that you are avoiding pain by not pursuing what you want to pursue. Because if you pursued it, you would realize that you'd probably fail a lot in the pursuit of that goal. And that is more painful than the pain of staying where you are. So the pain of change is still greater than the pain of where you are. So eventually what happens is this is the problem that a lot of people face, is that it's almost like you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position now so that the present state becomes more uncomfortable, becomes more painful than the future state. So you have to project yourself into the future. So what do I mean by that? So what I mean is that if my future state, by me now not exercising, not working out, not doing my habits, not closing deals, not developing things, if that future state, by not doing those things, is more painful, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid that future state by not doing everything that I'm doing now. In other words, what I'm doing now has to be worth, the juice has to be worth the squeeze, which means that I'm assessing in my mind through my actions that what I'm doing now is less painful than a future that would result had I not done these things. So this is the future pacing. This is why you have to be able to see yourself in the future. But it's perhaps it's a little bit easier for some people considering they've been through, like I told you before, and I think just a couple of videos ago, that I was actually homeless, that I was sleeping in my car, that I was washing myself with baby wipes, that I had no money, that the only thing that I was doing was buying at Bulk Barn. In Canada, we have this thing called Bulk Barn, where you go to the store and you can buy things in bulk. I was buying one big scoop of mixed nuts, like almonds and Brazil nuts, a day. That was my food. So yeah, like I definitely don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back to certain places. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to get there, but it just means that you have to find a way to frame things in such a way where you realize that what you're doing now is not in accordance with what you want to achieve. So let's talk about the other part. So the first part is you're deeming that what you're experiencing currently, the needs that are being fulfilled currently by you not doing the things that you need to be doing or that you say to yourself that you should be doing. What you're doing currently is fulfilling more needs, or the needs that are being fulfilled at a higher level than the needs that would be fulfilled had you actually done the things to actually get you to that future place. So you basically have two worlds, right? And you're deeming that one world is establishing more of your needs than the other world. But unfortunately, the other world is the world that actually will get you to better places. But because that other world is unknown, you don't know about that yet. That's why I always talk about having good habits that you're putting in place on a daily basis, because those little habits are really small leverage points as far as the investment that you're making. The investments that you're making are actually very, 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 very small. And by making the small investment, the dividends that are paying off in the long run are huge. Now, one habit that I don't really talk about on a day-to-day basis is exercise, but this is a non-negotiable for me, and I probably should talk about it more. And the types of benefits that exercise has on the human body and on the human brain in general, and what it does for your confidence, what it does for your energy, what it does for your focus, what it does for your discipline. So exercise, if you're not doing it on a daily basis, every single day. And by the way, there are days that'll only work out for like 20 minutes. Like I'll do a 20-minute circuit. That's fine, right? Just bang it out. You got to check it off your list, right? You want to make sure that you're racking up small wins under your belt, because every time you get a small win, not only are you getting a sense of accomplishment, a sense of fulfillment, you're getting that chemical in your brain, but you're also perceiving the world differently. You're perceiving yourself differently, and you're perceiving yourself as somebody more capable of doing the things that you're actually setting out for yourself, which are more complicated, more difficult, and there are more variables. So that's the first scenario, right? So the second scenario is determining if I'm saying that I want something and I'm actually not pursuing it, then it could be a combination of the needs thing and everything I just described, or it could actually be in tandem of what I'm about to describe. It could be that what you're saying you want, you actually don't want that thing. You want something else, and that something else is not for you to just stay in this present moment and fulfill these needs and have, because those needs are being fulfilled, but it's just that there's something in you that knows that what you're pointing at is something that other people have been pointing at for you, and then you've adopted as part of your own identity, when it's in fact not even you. It's just this shit that you're consuming over and over and over again is basically brainwashing you into believing that you want something that in truth you don't actually want. You want something else. Now, I'm not going to speculate what that is. I'm not going to give examples, but one thing that I will give, I'll give a more abstract example. Actually, know what? I'll give you a practical example. So in my case specifically, now I never mentioned this in any video, but I actually produced music, and I'm going to share it with eventually as well for 10 years, right? So I was producing music. I was using Ableton Live, full scale productions. Now, I told myself that I wanted to like perform music, right? That's what I wanted to do, specifically because it was electronic music. It would be in a DJ setting. Now, the issue there was that, and I'm going to be very open, very vulnerable with you, because I want you to see an example. I want you to see how your ego can basically destroy you. Now, I went to a lot of shows, right? I always loved this, when I was a kid. I grew up in the 90s, I guess, in the early 2000s. And during that time, a lot of house music was around, trance music started to come to the fore, and it started to get very popular. Tiesto, you started popping off, Paul Van Dyke, like all these guys, Marcus Schultz, and eventually when I got to the point where I could uh, get at the club, so here in Canada it's 19, I started to go to a bunch of DJ shows, concerts, right? My friend at the time was also a DJ. Now he was doing it kind of on the side. He was an engineer by trade, but also DJing, and he played some small clubs here and there. And we would go to like DJ shows, and he would show us and like the whole group of us like how to spin, how to mix. And I realized, okay, I don't have any money for DJ sets, but I'm gonna invest my money in music production equipment. So that's when I bought Ableton Live, and that's when I started producing music. Now, the whole time, what really attracted me was how people responded to the DJ, right? So what I really wanted was, I didn't want this as a career. I didn't want to be like a traveling DJ. And by the way, I recognized this like close to a decade later. You know what I mean? So let me kind of save you the pain, hopefully. Now, again, you can apply this to your situation, but it was really having other people like having the adulation and the respect of other people for being like the DJ, for playing the music. Like I wanted the applause, because at the time it's like when you have like your own friend group and you don't really have any, because I didn't have any other plans. Like I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? I studied business. Now I'm going back to school for neuroscience. I was like all over the place. I didn't really know what I wanted. So I was thinking, well, what is going to fulfill a lot of these needs that I'm like, by the way, I didn't have a girlfriend either, right? So I didn't have that connection. So let's go back to the six human needs, right? So I don't really have anything going. So it would produce my need for variety, uncertainty, need for the unknown, significance, feeling unique, important, special, right? So spinning there and everybody's like loving you and applauding you and shaking your hand and stuff like that. Uh, Connection, right? I didn't have a relationship. Like I had friends and close to my family, but I didn't have a relationship. So you want that feeling of connection. You're thinking, well, you're maybe going to connect with other people by doing this thing, and growth and expansion of capacity, capability, or understanding. So, but but fundamentally, what it was very superficial. Like my desire was essentially superficial, because when I realized years later, but even during, it's like it would actually fulfill me more to just be in the studio producing, not being on stage, but just making music and just putting my music out there and then having it be heard and being enjoyed. Like the way I enjoy my music, I would love other people to enjoy my music as well. Like it makes me feel good, but it's not the performing, right? It was more of an ego thing, like my image, being on stage, being this DJ, you know what I mean? And that's when I realized, oh, what I really want to do is just kind of like make music and be in the studio, not so much like performing. So what I thought I wanted, I didn't actually want. Now, here's the kicker, is that the want that I had, the reason I wasn't working towards it. So there's two parts of me, right? The ego, right? The part of me that thought I wanted something that I didn't actually want, right? Which was here, right? This is the part of me that didn't want it. And the reason I didn't want it was because, well, for a couple of reasons. The first reason is because I knew that part of me, that deeper part of me, that deeper part of you knows that this desire that you have is superficial. And so if you have that pull of forces, it's very often the case that you're going to be working against yourself. So how was I working against myself? Well, I wasn't marketing, right? So what I was doing is I was producing a lot of music, but I wasn't doing any advertising. I wasn't doing any marketing. I wasn't doing any social media. And how can you achieve that vision that I had for myself without doing social media? Impossible. It's not going to happen. So think about that. So that part of me knew that that's not what you actually want. So what did it do? It self-sabotaged. It sabotaged that vision by not doing the things that would be required for me to get there. Okay. So that means that a part of you is probably sabotaging the other part of you that wants something. Now, if that part of you actually wants it, then you have to go back to the needs thing and find, okay, what are my needs currently that are being fulfilled more than the needs that I'm projecting into the future, and what does the discrepancy look like? Because the pain of your present state eventually has to override the pain of the future state. Because if you're always kind of pushing things away, then you're more comfortable now, and you realize that all the work is going to be required in the present. The only way to bridge that gap is what? You can't do the huge leap. You're not going to be able to do that. So what you have to do is take incremental steps. And what are those incremental steps? The stuff I talk about every day, right? The habits that I talk about every day. Getting clarity, getting understanding, building your mind, building your body, treating your body as a temple, taking risks, right? I'm going to talk about this more in the future, but I talked about this in a future video. I think it's labeled something, just search risk or something. But you need to be able to take chances. Like one of the reasons why I got to where I got to in such a short period of time is because I took a risk, I took a chance. And I talked about this in a future video, but I realized that taking this program would eventually have a payoff. And so it was the same equation, but in this time, instead of the pain, it was the money. Because I'm like, okay, I have zero money. I have no money, but I have a line of credit because I was paying off my credit card and whatever, right? So I have a line of credit. So now I have a choice. I either stay where I am or I go 12 grand in debt so that hopefully I can pay that off in 3 months. Now, when you have no money, you have no prospects, and you have nowhere to go, you're probably going to make that bet. So remember, you have to bet on yourself. The most important thing that you could do in life is to bet on yourself, is to go all in on yourself, on building yourself, on building your skills, on building your body, building your brain, because you can't be good for anybody else until you're good for yourself. You can't give what you don't have. I heard this analogy today from, in fact, I was speaking to a patient and we were just jamming on a bunch of stuff, and we both like Gabor Mate. And it doesn't matter if you don't know who he is, but he's a medical doctor. He deals with like trauma therapy and stuff like that. And so, and I realized, and I told this guy, with my dad, as I got older, I realized that he went through a lot in his childhood. So he couldn't give me what I wanted from him. And the analogy that he gave, and I'm going to share it with you, is, yeah, it's like you can't give, if you're asking me for $10 and I only have five, I can't give you any more than five. Right? So if you're asking somebody if you're asking for something from somebody else, but they don't have it, they can't give it to you. So what's required of you to accomplish the vision that you're setting out is more than what you currently are, which means what you have to do is build up who you are so you can have that to be able to invest in your future. And that's why the risk is important. And that's why building yourself is important. So you can actually get to that place. So you can actually discover what you want and actually pursue it forthrightly, directly, get all parts of yourself to work in tandem so you can actually pursue what it is that eventually you will be pursuing. And you're going to be on the straight and narrow path. I promise you that. But the most important thing is to establish your daily habits. Your daily habits will get you there. Don't just focus on the future. It's good to have a vision, but if you only focus on that, then you're going to lose the present. And you're going to forget that that vision is created by what you do now. So hope that was helpful. And have a great, fantastic rest of your Sunday. And I'm going to upload this right now. It's about 6:00 p.m. So I hope this kicks off the next the start of your week in the best way possible. And of course, as you know, I upload these every day. So I'll see you tomorrow.